Welcome to Moto State Podcast, where we talk about motorcycles, life, and everything in between.
That's part of it. How was your New Year's?
Dude, it was good. Real low key. Went and hung out with Bob and his wife and their family, and actually brought my oldest daughter along with us because all of her friends were home for the holidays or, not around. So we were like, what, she didn't want to spend the New Year's alone. So we said, why don't you come out there with us? So
Sure.
Bob lives
That's
about
awesome.
40 miles away. So
Oh, is it that far? Okay.
yeah. He lives actually between here, where I live in Grand Forks, and Fargo. So it's like halfway there. So
I got you. Okay.
So we jammed out there last night and hung out, and it was a good time. Just,
Nice.
had some dinner and had some drinks and played some food and drank some food and eat some food and all the shit.
Watches Ohio State Buckeyes get beat.
Yeah, dude, they did. They did get beat.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming, but oh well. That's college sports for you.
Yeah. Well, and I was talking to Bob about that too, and he said, like, apparently that's how the way they've played all season. Like, they've gotten behind in so many games and then had to come back, and
Yeah.
they just couldn't come back against maybe a better team, right?
Yeah, or at least a better defense, that's for sure. Well, welcome everybody. Episode 1, Season 2. How about that?
Yeah. For those of you that didn't think we'd make it this long, fuck you.
Suckers! That's right. So a few changes to the podcast going into this season. Only one of us has facial hair, which is pretty wild.
Elephant in the room.
What the fuck? Yeah.
Yeah.
He sent me a picture after he shaved it last week, I guess, whatever day it was, or early this week. Last week. I don't know, over the weekend. And the first text was, I'm not sure if you're going to want to do a podcast with me after seeing this picture. And I'll be honest, I was a little nervous. I usually don't, stuff doesn't bother me. Like, whatever. I was like, oh shit. Is it like your mugshot? Is it, well, I don't know. But, so here we are.
Yeah. Well, I just, you know what? I needed
New year, new you. It's amazing.
Oh, fuck. Somebody asked me if I was going to post a picture like that, and I was like, no fucking way. I'm not doing that new year, new me bullshit. No, it was, I needed a reset, so. For those of you who know me, I did a beard experiment for the last 4 months of the year, and I dyed my beard completely black to see what it would look like if I grew my beard out fully like that when I was like 22, right? Because my facial hair is pretty dark, and I liked it, but I'll be honest with you, my beard is so fucking gray that the upkeep was just not worth the effort. So, now I'm going back to all natural, and I needed a beard reset, right? So like about every, I don't know. I'd say about every 5 years, I have shaved it off completely because my youngest daughter's 14, and we were talking about it, and we said that she's probably only seen me with my beard completely gone probably 4 times in her life. So,
oh wow, okay.
So probably about every 4 or 5 years, I shave it off completely, like, down to the clean shaven skin, and just give it a reset. And so that's what I did. And ironically enough, both my daughters are like, oh, Daddy, even with your gray beard, you look older with a clean shaven face, not younger. They thought I looked older. And I was like, oh shit.
I agree with them. I think you look a little older. I mean, not like, oh man, you look like you're 80. You got one foot in the grave and one on a banana peel, but I feel like it makes you look a little bit older.
I look like a bad version of Kenny G with no facial hair, with my long curly hair.
Where's your saxophone, man?
Yeah. Right. So, and then my youngest daughter, she's obsessed with the musical Hamilton. So she's like, Daddy, you look like Lin-Manuel Miranda. So, I got everything, but no,
so does this mean you're going to break out into song or playing the saxophone in the middle of this episode?
Neither one of those things are going to happen that I know, but
appreciate that.
Yeah. So no, it'll be, I've already got a significant 5 o'clock shadow. I'm into week 1 of my, my beard growth process. So in about another 3 weeks, like usually for me, like a full month, and I have a completely full normal beard. So
Yeah, I can't relate. Growing hair on my head's not my strong suit. And so I think I was 35 before I could grow a full beard, and if that's what you want to call this.
oh wow, okay.
Yeah, it is what it is. So I'm actually afraid to shave mine off because I don't know that it'll grow back. Like I'm scared that it will not grow back.
Sure.
Sophia, I mean, I guess Sophia she was 1.5 when I started growing facial hair, and it looked halfway decent. So she really doesn't have any memories of me with no facial hair. So when she sees a picture of, like, I showed her a picture the other day, it popped up in my memories, like I don't know, something from when she was like, maybe it was her first Christmas and I had no facial
sure.
hair. And she was
Sure.
like, Dad, she actually goes, what the hell? And I was like, I know, I get it. Yeah. So anywho, well, everybody, thanks. Thanks again. I know we posted about it. We talked about it last episode. Thank you all for a great season 1. Thank you for your support. Thanks for the love. Can't thank you guys enough. Season 1 was a lot of fun. Excited about kicking season 2 off right now. This first episode. I think, as we talked about, we got some goals, and we won't rehash those, but you'll continue to see an episode every week from us unless something happens, something out of our control. But we'll continue on this Monday schedule every Monday. So the goal is for 52 episodes, if not more, in 2026. So here we go. So and that being said, there's so many podcasts out there nowadays, and to choose ours to listen to and to support, we really do appreciate that. And I think that kind of dovetails into our subject today, which is the motorcycle community. There's so much out there now, and so I think something we're seeing is a lot of influencers who maybe necessarily aren't bike riders. There's certainly influencers that are. But who's an influencer? Who's a bike rider? That's your opinion. Maybe we'll share some of our opinions of what that looks like. But the difference between the two, and how it's impacting the motorcycle community. And it's not unique to I'll first say it's not unique to the motorcycle community, where you see that across the board. Influencers are really some inexpensive marketing for a lot of products out there, a lot of companies out there. And so motorcycle is not immune to that. So Ryan, what's your take on, let me back up. When did you start noticing, the influencers, whether it's influencers coming into the motorcycle scene or motorcyclists becoming influencers? Because you've been in the podcast world a lot longer than I have.
So, interestingly enough, I would say I was directly affected by the influencer bug long before I even became a podcaster.
Okay.
I got back into motorcycling, and when I got back into motorcycling was right around the same time that I joined Instagram. I was kind of a late adopter to social media platforms. I never actually joined Facebook until after I became a podcaster, and I only did that because I had to.
Sure.
Because of a situation that we needed to have access to Facebook. And but I joined Instagram, and I will absolutely admit, I would say this: my first foray into the influencer market was on YouTube. When I got back into motorcycling, I immediately, it was, I had my bike delivered like in November or something like that. And I couldn't ride. And so it sat in my garage and waited, kind of waited for the season to happen. And I immediately went on YouTube, and I just started binging as many, YouTube stuff as I can. and let me back up. When I say I got my motorcycle, I got my Harley when I did that. I had a different motorcycle. I had a Kawasaki 900, and I wasn't involved in social media. I wasn't looking at motorcycle content at that time. But when I got my Sportster, really when I jumped on that bandwagon. So it was YouTube first,
Okay.
and then that led me to Instagram, and I immediately, like, when I started my Instagram account, it was really to cultivate and build my own personal motorcycle community, right? People I was going to connect to over distances, with the idea of motorcycling being the focus of it. And so um I was really, like I said, I was bitten by that bug early on.
Okay.
But when I was bitten by that bug, I would say that the motorcycle content that I was at the time consuming was people who were what we would call moto vlogging in the motorcycle influencer world, right? They had a
Sure.
GoPro strapped to their helmet with a microphone, and they were talking while they were riding. And that's even what connected me to all the people that I was started the first podcast with, was really through social media, through YouTube, through the influencer environment. And so, but I was connected to people who, had riding content, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they were
Sure.
riding motorcycles. Now, again, what does that mean? What does being a rider mean to somebody? I mean, I was doing it. I started consuming it as a means to be connected to riding in the wintertime when I couldn't ride, because I was connected to people who are riding, their seasons were off of mine, or they were in warm weather environments where they could ride all season long.
Sure.
So I was really bitten by that bug early on. And I'll be honest with you, I really didn't think a whole lot about the difference between a rider and an influencer or all of that, because I was being quote unquote influenced by the people that I was watching. And I never really thought about that distinction
Mm-hmm.
until I started until I really started putting miles on my bike, when I really started crossing state lines, when I really started moto camping and doing all of the other things, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
that, obviously motorcycle riders have been doing for years and years and years.
Sure.
And that's when I started thinking a little bit more about what that meant, that there was probably people and content that I was consuming that were doing it for the gram, that were doing it for YouTube,
Sure.
but they maybe weren't, it's kind of like the whole hobby versus lifestyle thing that we talked about in season 1 is, were they writers, or were they just kind of doing it as a job, or doing it because they could be a part of this community, or were they were doing it for, I don't know, free parts, or to roll it into a living. And that's not to say that that's a bad thing.
Sure.
I just hadn't thought about it like that. Because I was trying to connect with like-minded people that had a similar interest as I did, and that pushed me down that path.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting to hear you say I was influenced by the people I was following. You don't have to be a quote unquote influencer to influence people.
Yeah.
We do that every day as parents, right?
Right.
We influence our kids. I don't consider myself an influencer. I consider myself a parent.
Right. Right. Yep.
And certainly I don't consider myself certainly an I'll start off with saying I don't consider myself an influencer at all. I think, as we talked about in season 1, I just think by doing a podcast and being active on social media, that being probably more, we're knee deep into the community. And so it's just maybe a little bit bigger part of the motorcycle community than others, than I was before this podcast. Maybe a good comparison for me. For me, I a little different. So, right, I'm not as riding as long. I had Facebook. I opened Facebook in 2016, 2017, and had no friends. It was just to follow some school pages, private Facebook school pages for my daughter. And then it wasn't until late 17 that I actually started being a little more active and actually having friends on Facebook, and posting some stuff every once in a while. And I started Instagram, I think, in 2018, I believe. Um, I started my personal account, and not a ton of activity there. And then, um, but when I started writing in 2019, um, I followed the normal stuff. I followed Harley. I followed SNS. I followed whoever. And if it wasn't for social media, I certainly would. Social media allowed me to learn more about motorcycling and what was out there, parts, styles, trends. Because what I knew before that was really just whatever the hog chapter meetings, what people were doing there, and what I saw at the dealership, or just a bike night here and there. And that's when I learned, about, this long distance riding thing. That's a real deal. Let me dig into that. And my hell yeah brother sissy bar. Well, maybe there's some cooler stuff to than that, and so on and so forth. And it went from there. Can't say I never had a get back whip or any of that, but I've definitely there's been so many people that influenced me, early on, and continue to do so today, through social media, and I'm thankful for that. I think you can often tell who who may have a nice bike and have free parts from their sponsors, but don't really put the miles down. And to me, that is that you're not a. I don't consider those folks a real bike rider, and I don't know that they are not an active bike rider. And so to me, and this is just my personal opinion, folks that are that are out there putting, making tons of social media posts and talking about all these parts. They're talking about the parts, but they're not talking about the. Oftentimes, you find what I've learned is they're not talking about the installation process. They're not talking about how much it really helped them, but they're talking about it. They put in, like, you put an ST fairing on a Road King or whatever it was, but they don't talk about the buffering or what it's done for them, or why they picked that certain windshield or that height or whatever. It's folks that are just flaunting free parts and have a ton of followers, but you don't really see them putting the miles down. And that, to me, that's you may be an influencer, but you're influencing you're influencing whoever is giving you the free products. And that's who you're influencing for. And to me, that I'd rather follow people like, these folks that are on the FXR tour every year, or My Machinist, or Jace Hudson, or Fast Life, or whoever, Tucker Speed, folks that know bikes, that are putting miles down, that understand it. And they don't have to be a builder, and that's fine. I mean, certainly I've followed plenty of folks that don't build bikes like me, but put down some miles and talk about their experiences and learn what went right, what went wrong. I mean, I'm sure, like one of our previous guests, Bogey Biker, I wish that his channel was around in 2019 when I started riding, because I would have loved to have gone through that journey, with him, or followed him and learn some things that he learned along the way that would have helped me. I wish I'd gotten into YouTube sooner. I think that would have really been a big help for me as well. But it's helping me now. And, it just wasn't on the radar in 2019 or 2020. I wish I'd found it in 2020 or got into it, because I had plenty of time. We weren't doing anything but riding motorcycles. So,
Right.
So what are your thoughts? I mean, what distinguishes, for you, an influencer, a real bike rider, what's the difference? What stands out to you?
Yeah. Again, some of these things really land in that kind of personal preference realm, because you're going to find real bike riders that say they don't need to flaunt their shit. They're not out there putting it on social media, and they're
Sure.
putting hundreds of thousands of miles down, right?
Yep.
So I think that a person's preference to post something online or to make a YouTube video, that really, may have nothing to do with, they may not want or consider themselves as influencers, but they do it because, like I said, I'm making a social record because this is the time that we're in. We're in a digital age, and I'm making a social record of something that I did at a point in time in my life.
Sure.
That my grandkids or great grandkids or something will be able to look back on and see at some point. That's really, something that I love, something that I'm passionate about. I've always said, even when I had the other podcast and we hosted events every year, it was a way to turn a social media connection into a real connection, right?
Sure.
And that's always been the part that's interested in me the most about the social media, the influencer, the whatever, is that you have this opportunity where you meet people online, you chat with them through Discord, through YouTube, through Instagram, through whatever, and then you go to a quote unquote Mama Tried or a Sturgis or whatever, and you meet people in person, you break bread, you have a drink, you shake hands, you hang out with them, and you make that real connection. That's kind of always the way that I've looked at the whole idea of it. I don't, some people really use that influencer as that connotation as being bad, right? And I'm going to go all the way back to the 90s to a quote I heard by an athlete when I was really deep watching NBA basketball. Charles Barkley had gotten in trouble with the law, and he gotten into a bar fight, and he threw a guy through a plate glass window. And there was all this hubbub about it, and Charles Barkley came on the meeting. He said, listen, he said, I'm nobody's role model.
Yeah.
That was a quote that Charles Barkley made in the 90s. I'm nobody's role model, right? And really what he was trying to say is I'm a regular guy who happens to be, a giant human being who was good at basketball and is on TV.
Yep.
I didn't ask for everything else that comes with it. Well, he didn't ask for it, but he got it, right?
Yep.
And really what he wasn't trying to say that he wasn't a role model, because he knew he was a role model, right? He knew people looked up to him. He knew kids looked up to him. He knew there was kids playing on courts that wanted to, that said, I'm Charles Barkley, and they would turn around and, knock somebody over and dunk the ball, right?
Sure.
But really what the point he was trying to make is that I'm a regular guy just like everybody else is, and I make mistakes, and by saying I'm no role model, is what he was trying to say is that we all make mistakes. Don't look at me as the bad things that I do or just the good things that I do. I'm a human being like anybody else. So now fast forward 30 years and influencer becomes this marketing ploy that all of a sudden in certain communities has some pariah, connotation to it, right? In the motorcycle community, to be a motorcycle influencer, some people think that you're a pariah, right? That you are preying on small business to get free things, to get free shit, to get whatever, right? If you go back 25 or 30 years ago, let's just say 25 years ago, before social media took over the markets, who were our influencers, right? They were athletes, they were actors, because what happened? There was this turning point where if you watched TV commercials in the 90s, almost all TV commercials had nobody actors on them that were hawking products, right? And then they found value in having athletes and actors do that same thing because they held sway over the media market. People watched them in movies. And then they were everywhere, right? Perfect example. Almost every single business that you see Shaquille O'Neal hawking on TV, he owns a part of, so he has skin in the game. At every one of those businesses, he's resurrected.
Yep.
He's resurrected, he's grown, or he's exploded. And that's absolutely because of his influence. Absolutely,
Sure.
right? And so, but in some realms, like in motorcycling, being a quote unquote influencer has had this negative connotation. And I completely disagree with that idea, right? I'm going to go back 20 years in time. And what happened? Motorcycle Mania, Orange County Choppers, they blew motorcycles up. In the late
Build-Off,
late 90s, early 2000s.
Oh yeah.
And that was the heyday of Harley Davidson. Like, what was it, 2004 through 2006? Harley never sold more motorcycles than during that period of time, right?
Yeah.
But
Yep.
there was 5 motorcycle shows on TV at that time.
Yep.
Right? Then we spawned Sons of Anarchy, Mayans, all of these things. That's all influencers. That's all people influencing a certain part or certain segment of motorcycling that grew it, right?
Yep.
We just happen to be in the digital age of motorcycling right now. That's what I think where we are. And there is a dramatic effect that people who put their names and faces and likenesses and brands, because once you become an influencer, you become your own brand, right?
Right.
They put this out and people claps onto it and they identify with it. And the biggest thing I see is that influencers are everyday people, right? The reason why influencers got so popular is because we all felt like we could be them. We all felt like we could relate to them. They're just our neighbors, right?
Yeah.
They're just a dude that strapped a GoPro on his helmet and rode down the street like you would any other day, but he has a GoPro on his helmet.
Yeah.
You know, now his internal conversation in his head is coming out of his mouth.
Yep.
You know, and that's what it was. And so for me, I'm glad. I'm extremely glad that this happened to motorcycling. I think that I think it opened motorcycling up to a world of people that maybe wouldn't have ever seen it. I think it opened motorcycling up to a world of people who maybe never would have taken part in it. And I think in some form, it made it globally more popular than it's ever been. Now, has that translated to dollars? It has, but what it did is it muddied the water of where those dollars went to.
Do you feel that it, as social media became the go-to, the main avenue for advertising in the motorcycle community, do you feel that that's what has spawned the muddying of the waters? Like, and I assume by that you mean there's, you can get a floorboard from 85 different companies.
Yeah.
And I'm not, that's not a bad thing, but there's, I think what you're saying is, what I'm hearing is, it's, you know, you had Arlen Ness and you had a few others, or felt like you knew. Now, Advan Black, OG Moto, you know, you can get exhaust from Tab or SNS or Bassani, or you got a lot more, there's a lot more competition out there. And do you feel that a lot of these companies came from, we've seen an uptick in aftermarket parts companies because of social media?
Well, let me say this. There was a time in motorcycling for you to have a company and to be a brand and to be somebody, you had to pay for advertising in magazines. You had to get your name out there. You had to go to motorcycle shows. You had to do all that.
Yeah.
And all of that costs money, right?
Sure.
So I'm gonna use you as an example, Luke. What year is your touring bike?
21.
Okay, so you have a 2021. It's a CVO, correct? So you have a 2021 Harley CVO, and it's a touring platform. You could right now go on a machine manufacturer. You could buy a CNC machine and put it in your garage.
Sure.
Right? You could buy a CAD program and learn how to use it, and you could start designing your own parts for your motorcycle. You could you could go on and register a name with the state and start an LLC, right? And then you could advertise on YouTube and Instagram and Facebook all for free, and start your own company with your own brand, and you could do that in 30 days.
Sure.
If you had a decent amount of capital, right? And all your advertising is free. You pay nothing for it, because you can advertise on Facebook and YouTube and Instagram for free, right? TikTok, pick the social media platform, you know?
Sounds a lot like our podcast.
Sounds a lot like our podcast, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But you can do all of this.
A lot cheaper to start than buying a CNC machine, that's for sure.
Absolutely. But what I'm saying, though, is that you could start a motorcycle company tomorrow.
Sure.
Right? That couldn't be done 20 years ago. It just couldn't, because there weren't the avenues to do that. And not only could you do that, but you could reach thousands of people in a very short period of time.
Sure.
Right? And so that's what I'm saying, how it muddied the waters, is that it opened up the industry in a way that had never been opened before.
Sure.
And I'm not saying it's good, bad, or indifferent. I'm just saying that's the reality of it.
Yeah, no, I don't, I mean, that, it's the American dream, right? Like, I should say American dream, but that is the dream for a lot of people, be their own boss, start their own company, be successful doing it. And starting a company is not cheap and it's hard. So if there's a way you can save money, lies in advertising, and do it on social media, awesome. Or, I mean, even if you're a larger company, paying whatever magazines and publications to advertise on, it's a lot cheaper to hire a social media person or a marketing person and pay them a fair wage, get them benefits, PTO, and have, and they're the ones that, hopefully will know you're hiring someone that knows how to work social media and how best to approach that and what avenues to go down with that. And that advertising can be free, or you can obviously pay to boost it and do different things. But, that's obviously a financial choice you have to make, but, that's still cheaper than going to every single bike show. And obviously you can't, I mean, what publications are you gonna advertise in nowadays?
Right.
Very few out there.
Right. And there's when you think about a business model, if you start a YouTube channel and you think about your YouTube channel as a small business and every subscriber is a customer, right?
Sure.
If you live in a town of 500 people and you develop the right YouTube channel and all of a sudden you've got 10,000 subscribers, and you've got a larger customer base than 5 times the population of the town that you live in.
Sure. Yeah.
So it really makes an opportunity for so many people to do something that they're passionate about. I also think that we're in that, this time in our life where everybody wants their 15 minutes of fame. Everybody wants their voices heard, and it provides a platform. And sometimes all it takes is, you put a YouTube video up and you tell somebody your life story and it resonates with 10 people. And maybe sometimes that's all somebody wants, right?
Yeah.
Their voice was heard and they feel seen. They feel seen and they feel heard, and now they're validated, right? Yeah. So it's just a different time. And I don't think, and that goes across, that doesn't just have anything to do with like motorcycling, right? That topic in itself is bigger than just motorcycling. But I think the idea of an influencer versus a real rider to me is this. And I'm not going to put anybody on blast because you do you, right? I don't give a shit, right? Yeah. But here's how I look at it. To me, the people that I gravitate away from the influencer world are the people that don't translate their influence into real shit. So if you're posting stuff on your social media about stuff that you're fake doing, I'm not about it. I'm not about it. You know what I mean? But if you're posting, hey, put this part on your bike, and then you give me an actual review and you've put miles on it and you've done stuff with it and you have some legitimacy around it, I'm about it, right? I'll fuck with that, right? But I'm not about the fakeness of the influencer in terms of and we've all seen it, right? The person who posts the same fucking picture with their bike 25 times and they just post a different caption underneath it.
Yep.
Right? To me, that's not somebody that's riding. That's somebody that's just trying to build a base of followers, but they're not doing anything to
there's no value there.
Right. There's no value for me, right? For me. But if that same person were to post 100 different pictures of 100 different places they've ridden their bike, that's not an influencer, that's a rider. That's a rider who's posting their life, and I'm being influenced by it because I might see it and go, shit, I want to do that. Like, I want to go there. I want to be a part of that. And I fully embrace the idea that I have seen pictures, I have listened to podcasts, I have watched YouTube videos and said to myself, I want to do that on my bike too.
Sure.
I'm 100% that I and I own 100% of that. But but then I can say that that has now become my experience, that I was influenced by somebody else doing cool shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
That's really what it's about for me.
Do you feel that someone who is fortunate enough to have a sponsorship or has been fortunate enough to receive free or does receive free parts from manufacturers, do you consider them, does that make them an influencer in your mind?
Okay, so here's where I look at it like this. If I give you, I'll use a motorcycle part. If I give you a motorcycle part and you put it on your bike and you do nothing with it, that's free. If you give me a motorcycle part and I take pictures of it and I post them online and I make videos of it and I do an install video and I do a review video, that part was not free.
Fair value exchange, right?
Fair value exchange. Yep.
Sure.
That there was an expectation. Yes, I didn't pay for that part, but that person that gave me that part got X, Y, and Z for the value of that part. So there was a determined value based on what I was going to do with it after I got it.
Okay. Fair.
Right?
Yeah.
Then it wasn't free. So anybody that says that an influencer just gets free parts, if that influencer has made a review, done a video, taken it camping and taken pictures, anything like that, that part was not free because there was an expectation of an exchange when that was sent out.
Sure.
A free part is I give it to you and you use it and you go about it and you do all your shit and there's nothing more that comes of it. That was free.
Yeah. Yeah. I've not been the recipient of any free parts and may never, and that's fine. But I certainly would take advantage of that opportunity to, maybe do an install video, but definitely promote it on Instagram, talk about it. I think that's only fair, right? Scratch my back, I scratch yours. That's just part of it.
Well, here's the thing though, and that is, we've gotten a couple of things sent to us since we started our podcast.
Yeah.
We have promoted those things. We have talked about those things, right? But then it becomes a two-way street. Those people have also become a part of our community.
Right. Yep.
Right? And so those are people that we are going to break bread with, have a drink with,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
And so it's a different, the level and what that looks like, it completely changes.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because then you've changed that relationship. But that's a reciprocal thing too. Like but I'm also one of those people that during when I was putting out a YouTube video every week, you get hit up by companies that say, hey, will you do this? Will you do this? Will you do this? Will you, whatever. And there were times when I would say, hey, I really appreciate you reaching out to me. I have to be 100% honest with you. I would never put that part on my bike. I don't think that it's bad. I don't think that I have no feelings of it other than it's not my jam. And so I appreciate you reaching out, but I can't do it because it's not my jam.
Sure.
Right. And so that's the flip side of that coin, which is, I always approached it from an honesty perspective. You know what I mean?
Sure.
That if you can go back on my YouTube channel right now and look at the videos that I've put out there, and every single install or part or whatever that's either was on my bike at one point or is on my bike now, I've done a video on. I have, talked about it, pros and cons it, done a review over a certain number of miles so that somebody you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a part is great. And then you put 100 miles on it and the whole fucking exhaust pipe is rusted and it's a piece of shit. Right. Well, you're going to get that video then because I
Sure.
don't, I want to be able to be honest. And there has been conversations I've had with different vendors like, hey, I'll do that. But you got to know, like, if it's garbage. And the other thing too is that I've had people send me stuff and say, I just want to know what you think of it. I don't even want you to do a video. Just hit me up, send me a DM, and let me know what you think of it.
Sure.
You
Yeah.
know, or I will, get something and say, hey, do you want me to send this back? I'm not, this isn't me, or I don't really want to put out a video that is negative or berates your product. What would you like
Sure.
me to do with this? Right.
Sure.
Because,
Yeah.
and those, I was never on any level where that kind of shit was happening to me all the time. But,
Well, you're being respectful.
but there's been a few times where I've been reached out by, by companies that, they were just stuff that I wasn't interested in, stuff that I wouldn't put on my bike. And I'm not one of those people that has 100 videos of different footboards because I was sent one by 100 different companies. Like because there are people out there like that too, that are just trying to get, just pumping out the content.
Sure.
And again, I'm not disparaging those people. I'm just saying that that's not, that's not the kind of thing I was wanting to do, and really not the kind of content that I wanted to make or how I wanted to be viewed in the community.
Yeah, I mean, if I get to that point, I certainly, that's something. I'm not going to go through footboards and exhausts and levers and windshields or whatever the case may be. Just for content, just to hopefully pump up the follower numbers. I mean, for me, I do it for fun. There's a lot of pictures of FXR and some of the bagger, and for me, it's just fun putting together those videos. I usually use CapCut or something like that. It's a lot of fun. I just enjoy doing that, but I will always tag whose parts are on my bike because I like them. If I didn't like them, I would take them off my bike and I wouldn't talk about them. But the parts I've put on, I love, and I want to, I've got 1,100 something followers. I'm not reaching a whole lot of people, but I want to try to give back and try to help whatever that company is, whether it's OG Moto and just put their crash bars on, Screaming Speed and Fab, Steve Chamberlain's FXR style side covers on the bagger. I always tag him. I mean, those things are great. I love them. They're really well made. Things like that. You just, that I think that's something that I see a lot of in our community, is that folks are tagging, the manufacturers of these different parts. I hope that they're doing that because they want to help build that company up. I understand that if those parts are given for free, you really need to do that, have to do that, and that's understood. But I hope that the folks like me who aren't necessarily influencer are doing the same thing and building up these companies, because without them, this community fails. So we need companies like that are pouring parts, money, time, and effort into this community. That's how we all survive and have a great community that we have now. So,
well, and I really think that you know think about this a little bit differently too, which is I don't want you to I don't want you to I don't want you to take away value from yourself right now with starting a podcast, and we've got a year of content. We've got 28 episodes out.
Mhm.
And so you have put your voice out there, you've put your opinion out there, and by doing that, you are exuding an influence.
Sure.
Okay. And so when you were just talking now about, um, the different things, or parts or whatever, um, I think you were equating, maybe like YouTube content or something like that as opposed to that as you being an influencer like that.
Mhm.
Well, you don't have YouTube videos out, so in that respect, that would be true. But having a podcast and having a voice in the community is still an influence. So I think that there's you know, if you let's go back 8 months prior to the X number of thousands of listens that we had in the YouTube video, or that we had on the podcast. Prior to that, your voice in the community was limited to your content that you would put out on Instagram or Facebook, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so now your voice, your literal voice, is out in the community. So there's influencing already being done at this point. Whether that is, and people can take that however they want. And there's no, and I'm not attaching any level of arrogance to that whatsoever. So please don't mistake that. It's just that when you have stood on a platform, which is what we're doing, a podcast is a platform. So when you've stood on a platform and you've put your voice out there and your opinion out there, it's going to have an influence, positive or negative or otherwise. There's going to be an influence being had. That's not negative, right? And that's what I want people to really take out of this, is that I don't find that or look at that in any negative way whatsoever. It's the reality of it, is that as soon as you've put yourself on a platform, you hold sway, you have influence.
Yeah. And I hear you. And you know, whether you've got 100,000 followers or 100 followers, you're going to influence somebody along the way, when you're on a public platform.
Yeah.
That's just part of it. I understand. And when I say I don't consider myself an influencer, like, you know, I'm not an Adam Sandoval or someone like that.
Few people are.
Right. I'm talking like top tier folks.
Right.
You know, that's where that comment comes from. And I would
Right.
say, I don't know, what's your opinion? I feel like Adam Sandoval is probably one of the most influential folks, or the biggest influencer in the motorcycle scene right now.
I think it depends on what circle that you run in, right?
Mhm.
I mean, I think if you're talking about just pure influencers in the motorcycle scene, I think Adam Sandoval is way up there.
Mhm.
Blockhead is probably,
Sure.
right near the top of the heap, right? There are a couple of people in the ADV world and in the sport bike world that are way up there that are just not in our scene, but they have Chase on Two Wheels. I mean, that dude, if you look at his YouTube channel, it's giant. But he doesn't ride Harleys.
And Thrashin'.
You know?
Thrashin's got, I mean, a huge influence. They're huge influencers. And I caught myself, I was about to say, well, but they, you know, they make products, they build bikes, but well, so does Blockhead. So yeah, now that I think about it, Adam Sandoval definitely, probably not the biggest, but definitely top 5, maybe.
So just to give
10.
you some idea, Chase on Two Wheels has 1.24 million subscribers.
Wow,
that's bigger than Sandoval and Blockhead put together.
That's wild.
And he doesn't ride a Harley or a cruiser bike, right? So I mean, you know,
right.
when you talk about, you know, now think about that. Think about that from a, you know, he's put videos out of sponsors that he's walked away from. Like, that's
Really?
how big his influence is. Absolutely. So,
Wow.
so I mean, there are giants in the influencer world that are, you know, there's a few now that are, female riders that have a ton of influence. A lot of people in the Harley world have heard of Her Two Wheels.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't remember what last 213,000.
No kidding. Is that on YouTube, Instagram?
That's on YouTube. Yep.
Okay.
So I mean, it's really, you know, there is so many. There are so many influencers out there that people don't even know about. Doodle on a Motorcycle, 288,000. Have you even heard of her?
No, I have not.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like the influencer world, if you go out there, it's giant, Luke. I mean, it's huge. And it just depends on, you know, it just depends on where you, and she's she's another female rider, you know?
Mhm.
And so it just depends on, how you look at that influencer world and what you think about it. And, you know, there's some people out there that just put safety videos out for motorcycle riding, and they're giants themselves.
Yeah. Although I think the common theme here is, at least for you and I, Sounds like we both are looking for value from an
Mm-hmm.
influencer,
Mm-hmm.
quality content, and by quality, I mean, you don't have to have the fancy cameras and amazing edits, but just quality content and know what you're talking about. And if you don't, admit it. Honesty goes a long way. But whatever brings me value, brings Ryan's values. I think what we're getting at from an influencer part. That's what we're looking for when we choose to follow someone or follow them, watch their videos, dig into their social media posts and so on.
Right. And I think when you talk about that, when you look at that thing too, is that that's why influencers have gotten so much attention in the motorcycle world, is because, beyond magazines, influencers have captured an audience way better than magazines did. You know what I
Sure.
mean?
Hmm.
And the reason why is because they have this captive audience. You get notified, you get a bell, it jingles on your phone, all of
Hmm.
that shit, videos
Yep.
posted, boom, you spend
Well,
15, 20 minutes
it's
watching
easy.
it.
It's easier access.
Yeah, yeah. Or you can watch it whenever you want. You can rewatch it. You can
Hmm.
send it to friends. All this shit can happen,
Yep.
and it it shapes your viewpoint, right?
Sure.
And these captivated audiences of, yeah, you go in as an influencer to a motorcycle company and you say, hey, I really like what you guys are doing. Here's my audience. Here's my retention rate. Here's how many average views I get. You have all these analytics to draw from. All of a sudden, you look like a great sell to that company because your content matches their audience, or who they want to reach,
Sure.
right? So it changed. I think it changed motorcycling in the way that now your small business that you just started with your CNC machine in the garage, Luke, you got one of these monster influencers to rock your parts for 30 days, and now you've had access to 213,000 customers that you didn't prior to that.
Sure. Yep.
So that's you know what I mean? So from that perspective, but more than anything, you hit the nail on the head. For me, it's about honest content,
Yeah.
right? And I don't give a shit if somebody's honest about the fact that they're not a rider,
Sure.
right? That's fine. Just don't sell yourself as being something you're not. If you're not a rider, that's cool, right? There's a lot of quote unquote Instagram models, male and female, that take
Sure.
pictures with motorcycles who don't ride.
Yep.
Right? But they're not selling themselves as riders. Now, there are people that are both of those things. They're Instagram models that also ride, right?
That's
So
me. That's me.
male and
Yeah.
female. I mean, yeah, like I saw some of your peripheral apparel modeling pictures.
Oh yeah, that's actually, yeah, that is true. I was bullshitting, but I forgot that Alicia was hard up for a model, and I took some pictures with the Halloween shirt last year.
Again, you sold yourself short, but you did some modeling.
Yeah, she quickly took those posts down. I'm not sure why. I'm kidding. I'm joking.
No, I just, I think it's a great topic that that can spur on some conversation, right?
Sure.
I think that's the biggest thing. That I think that's one of the things that you and I, why we love doing this, is that I love to get people fired up about things, right?
Mhm.
Good, bad, or indifferent. That generates conversation, and that conversation can generate learning. An opportunity to learn a new something new about somebody, or open my eyes to a new process, or a new way of looking at things, or whatever.
Yeah, and I think for me too is that I probably spend too much time on social media at times. So for me, if I know I'm gonna catch myself doing that, that's just that's life for me at this point. So I want, instead of doom scrolling, I'd rather it's like your friends, right? You want quality people in your life. Well, if I'm gonna spend time looking on social media, I want that to be quality too. It's not all going to be quality. It's fucking social media, and
Right.
half that shit ain't real. Most of the social media isn't real anyway. But it's not real life most of the time. But I want that to be quality. So again, that's why I'm looking for, like you said, honest content, quality content, something funny, something without me modeling, whatever. So that's the simplest way I can put it and what I'm looking for when it comes to an influencer or just any content at all.
Yeah. Well, and I'm one of those people too where I really look at social media sometimes. I look at it for, inspiration, whether it's
Sure.
a new way to style my bike or an inspiration for a bike trip or whatever. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I'm not one of those people that follows a ton of people who really open up kind of like the dirty laundry of their personal life on social media. I really don't. And life is,
Who are you following when you decided to shave your beard off? That's what I want to know. Like,
dude, yeah, that was my own foolish decision, right?
I'm
No.
kidding. I'm joking.
No, it's okay. No, I can take it. Really what it did is it uncovered my face that no one wants to see. So, I just have to get back to get that uncovered. Exactly. It'd be like those pictures of the monkeys with over the mouth and over the nose and over the eyes.
We were talking
right?
about 2020. Put your mask on, buddy. Come on.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
kidding.
that's
I'm
what I
joking.
should have done. I should have shown up with my mask on that.
That's it. We're re-recording the intro. Here we go.
The whole thing. No,
Oh,
but
that's too
I think
funny.
it's good. I mean, thank you for bringing this topic to the table because
Sure.
I like the idea of it. I'm passionate about it. I think that I'm passionate about it because I like how I have been influenced by social media.
Mhm.
I don't see it as a negative thing. I know a lot of people do, but without social media, there's a ton of really good friends that I've made from it.
Yeah.
The first podcast wouldn't exist. This podcast wouldn't exist.
Correct.
I have friends all across the country,
Mhm.
in every state, of people that I either talk to, text online, or DM through Instagram. And I really, to me, that's the reward of all of it, right? Is there negativity? Absolutely. Is
Sure.
there doom scrolling? Absolutely. But is there really great, amazing things that can come from it? That's also true.
Yeah, it's that's the nice thing about social media. Although the algorithms will drop stuff in your feed that you didn't look for, or don't want to see, but you still choose at the end of the day who to follow, who you follow, and what content you're intaking. So that's something I've tried to express to Sophia. She's mainly just YouTube. That's the only social media that she really gets on. But it's like, all right, well, I mean, make it, if you're going to spend that much time on it, make sure it's quality and not junk. And that's pretty relative to a 13-year-old. But I try to take the same approach with mine too, because and stay away from the political crap. That seems to really help my attitude.
Right. Right. Well, and
Well,
I think from my perspective, and you bring that up, and I think that's an interesting topic for the I think that's an interesting topic for a non motorcycle related podcast, is the state of the world we live in right now.
oh boy.
I think that would be I think it'd be worth pushing up on a little bit, just because number one, I don't think we're afraid of it, and number two, I would bet you that we have more things in common than we have different.
Yeah, and I think that that could be like a two-parter. What the state of the world we're in? Holy shit, that could be a whole month worth of episodes right there. But
It could
no,
be.
I love that idea. So look for that down the road. We may be crossing that bridge. But speaking of upcoming episodes, let's see. So today is the 5th. Next week, we will be giving our predictions on the new Harley motorcycles coming out. I believe. Is that right? Is that coming up, or is that the week after? Well, some of the upcoming episodes will be, we have the second chapter of the new 26 lineups coming out. So we'll be talking about our predictions around those and reactions around that. Ashley's going to, Nagel's going to be joining us again to talk about, continue our conversation about building motorcycles. I'm pretty sure she's got another one on the lift that she's building already. And we're also going to talk a little bit about mental health and, just trying to get through the holidays and in these long winter dreary months and days and weeks, some things you can do to help get through this crappy weather and these long days without a lot of sunlight. So we'll be looking forward to have her back on the show as well. And then we've got a few other guests lined up that we'll be having on in the next couple months. And before we know it, I mean, what are we, 7 weeks away from Mama Tried? So 6 7 weeks away from Mama Tried. So that's fast coming up. So look for, in the next week and a half, we'll be dropping a limited edition shirt and hoodie for Mama Tried show that you can wear anytime, but especially if you're going to Mama Tried. We also are running right now a sale on our merch store, 20% off everything in the store through the end of January. That is active right now. So go buy some merch if you've been wanting to buy some stuff. And then we're running a special on Patreon as well. So if you are an existing Patreon free member and want to upgrade to one of our tiers, the $5 or $10 tier, monthly tier, you'll get 75% off your first month. If you are not a member, you will get 50% off one of those tiers on your first month if you join through the end of the month. So would love to see some more folks on Patreon. And don't forget that if you are a Patreon member, you have access to a monthly meetup with Ryan and I, where we chat for about 30 minutes and shoot the shit and have a good time, a lot of laughs. And then Ryan gets to see his man crush, Lynn out of Knoxville. He's a big fan of him. And also we do some Patreon only episodes as well, which our members have access to that as well.
Absolutely. So if you guys feel like you want to support us and support what we do, we always appreciate that. That helps us keep the lights on, helps us continue to do the podcast.
As Ryan's shirt says, the shit ain't free.
Shit ain't free. Right. Yeah, no. Man. So it's like Luke said, we're fast approaching meeting some of the people that we already know that listen to the podcast that are coming out to Mama Tried.
It's gonna be great.
There's going to be a pretty good contingent of people coming out this time, so it's going to be a really good time. And we'll be at Flat Out Friday. We bought, Ryan and I and a few others have already bought tickets. I can't remember the section. We'll post about it in Discord and on social media, or certainly shoot us a DM and we'll let you know what section we're in and what rows, so you can try to get some tickets around us if you'd like to sit by us. If you don't want to sit by us, well, fuck you, I don't care. But we'll let you know where we're sitting if you'd like to meet up, and certainly we'll be at the show Saturday, and I'm sure there'll be a visit or two to Elwoods at some point, and no telling where else. So we'll keep everybody in the loop on that, and we'll use some kind of platform to let everyone know where we'll be while we're there if anybody wants to meet up and say hello. Yep, and that's where we're at. All right, guys. Well, that's it. Out for episode 1. Season 2. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week. Peace.